Sonic and Eggman have played nice before, but do you think they'll be able to hold it together long enough to save the world? Hey guys, this is the second part of an ongoing series. If you haven't seen the first part, please make sure to refer to this playlist for that part and other stories like it. And while you're here, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to keep up with more stories like this in the future. Where we last left our heroes, Sonic, Classic Eggman, and Robotnik met up in Green Hill Zone after the Time Eater abducted the entire cast. Fearing for the survival of the universe, Eggman and his younger self form a truce with the Hedgehogs, and now we return to the adventure as the world's last four saviors appear in Chemical Plant Zone via Warp Ring. Geez, is that chemicals or your breath? Sonic says, holding his nose.
That gets funnier every time I hear it, truly.
Eggman turns to his younger self.
If you're smart, and I know you are, you'll invest in earplugs.
Noted. When exactly does he start with the endless one-liners?
Sometime around 1998.
Classic Sonic narrows his eyes at Robotnik and rubs his hands together with a sinister smile on his face. Robotnik uneasily walks up on ahead to catch up with his future self. So, do we have any way of tracking down the emeralds, or are we just going in blind like the good old days? I'm sure we could sweep this entire place in a jiffy.
The only thing we know is that there's one here, and I would love nothing more than to be rid of you two for the time being. Get on with your search and we'll take our own route through, assuming I can recall the password to access the back rooms of this place.
The back rooms? I guess those hours I spent imagining you trying to run through the loops in this place were for nothing then, huh?
I'm so sorry to ruin your illusion. Now if you don't mind, we have somewhere to be, and I believe you do as well.
Without another word, the two doctors head off the path towards a metal walkway. The two Sonics then speed off in the opposite direction, one on each of the two intertwining paths laid out before them. Here comes Chemical Plant Act 1. After Act 1 is over, Sonic and Classic come to a stop by a lake of pink goop. Sonic is looking out over it, and he can't seem to see the other side, but there's no other way to go.
Looks like it's time to kick things up a notch. You ready to roll?
Classic gives a thumbs up and curls into a spin dash. Sonic readies himself, and then on the count of 3, he blasts off, boosting across the pond. He's running so fast that he might as well still be stomping across the metal pathways they left behind. After a few moments, he looks over his shoulder just in time to see Classic Sonic sinking into the goop, still in his spinball. Looks like he didn't have enough speed with just a spin dash to cross the entire pond. That momentum sure is a killer, ain't it?
Whoa, hold on!
Sonic jumps in the air and air dashes in the opposite direction. Once he reaches Classic, now fully submerged, he begins to run in circles around his past self. Classic is staring up at him with wide eyes, unsure of what to do. The platform they came from was too far for him to reach at his reduced speed, and the opposite side was still too far off, they still couldn't see it.
Come on, what do I do? He's got 5 seconds down there left, max! I can practically see the countdown!
Sonic slaps his own face a little bit to psych himself up.
If I go down there, we could both get stuck. But if I don't do anything, he's a goner!
Sonic clenches his fists and leaps into the air and dashes downwards into the goop. Holding his breath, he grabs his younger self and hoists him up onto his back. He yells with every bit of air left in his lungs to hold on, and hardly a moment passes before he takes off at top speed. As he goes faster and faster, he can feel himself slowly rising to the surface, and not a moment too soon, as his lungs are practically screaming out for a breath of fresh air. The two hedgehogs break the surface, and Sonic, with his eyes still closed, goes even faster to cover the distance to the other side as fast as possible. When they finally reach the opposite shore, Sonic stops on a dime and whirls around to help Classic. The young hedgehog is breathing really heavily and rubbing his eyes, because I'm sure the chemicals probably don't feel very good.
Phew! I'm glad you're alright, buddy. I wasn't thinking. I might have been through all this before, but you've never even set foot in this place, have you?
Classic shakes his head and puts on a smile. Sonic can tell he's a bit upset, but he's trying not to show it. He knows that mannerism well.
I'll tell you what. Let's head down the hall a little bit, and you can take a break. I'll do a quick sweep of the rest of this place and be back in a flash.
Classic looks back at the pink goop and then to Sonic, and he nods. The two Sonics run into the distance, and Act 2 begins. Back with Eggman and Robotnik, the two scientists have set up shop somewhere along the main pathways and are tinkering with a disabled Eggmobile they found behind the scenes.
This should help us keep up with the vermin as long as we can get it working before they turn the entire plant upside down. Even if we can't keep up with them, it would be good at least to aid in the search for the emeralds.
He keeps tinkering for a moment.
And would you mind explaining this Eggman thing? Is it not insulting to refer to yourself as such? You get older, you'll understand that you've always been Eggman. You just didn't realize it. I'm not following. I wouldn't expect you to.
Robotnik stops working and crosses his arms.
Alright, I can understand the hostility towards your arch-nemesis, but now I'm getting the sense that I turn into an overwhelmingly antagonistic person who's rude just for the sake of being rude. You and I are villains. We're not supposed to be nice. I am no such thing. I'm on a mission to accomplish my dream of opening a magnificent theme park. I've just had a few setbacks in recent months. Ha! Dreams. The only thing I dream of is a world without that hedgehog. A world covered entirely in metal, populated with only those who will follow me without a second thought. I see. He continues working on the contraption. Tell me, how long has it been since you discarded your aspirations in favor of things that don't matter? This time, it's Eggman who ceases working. He slams his tools down and storms off, not bothering to answer the younger doctor's question. Eggman trudges through the fume-infested walkways of Chemical Plant, thinking over the spat he was just in. If Sonic wasn't around, what would he even be doing? Did he even care about Eggman Land at this point, or was it all just so he could win? That thought hits him like a gigantic gun truck. He did all of this and possibly doomed the entire universe over a grudge he couldn't let go. But it had to be more than that, right? He can't dismiss his conquest as a menial activity kept going by a man with nothing better to do. Eggman is so deep in thought that he almost collides with an outstretched hand. He jumps back in surprise, but the figure makes no attempt on his life like he was expecting. He looks up and sees the familiar face of Tails the Fox, locked into an expression of fear, shielding himself from an unseen threat. By his feet are his two bumbling henchmen, Orbot and Cubot, also seemingly trying to protect themselves from something. The doctor examines the seemingly lifeless life forms and is astonished that he can't understand what happened to them. As he's brushing some dust off of Cubot's head, a maniacal grin spreads across his face. The doctor pats Cubot before standing up straight. I'm here to save the world. But that doesn't mean I need to save you, he says, glaring at the fox. And you two? Well, I can always build replacements. He sneers at the trio before heading back the way he came, clearly feeling very proud of himself. The Sonics return to find Robotnik finishing up his work on the Eggmobile. As it takes to the sky, Classic Sonic visibly recoils. Calm down, buddy. Everything will be okay. Classic lets out a long breath and nods. Robotnik rolls his eyes, but not in annoyance. Something about the gesture feels slightly whimsical. It's good to see that you two get along. I can't help but butt heads with that egotistical egghead. He looks around to make sure he wasn't heard by his older self. Dude, I don't even see how you guys are the same person. Neither do I. Our ideals are totally different. If that little rodent took off and I never saw him again, I'd probably stop thinking about him days later. I get the feeling that Eggman would chase you to the ends of the earth. I believe that. Where is the old man anyway? He got frustrated and went for a walk. My, talking about someone behind their back, are we? The gossip group turns to face Dr. Eggman. None of them seem particularly happy to see him. Did you good-for-nothings locate the emerald, or were you just stopping by to brighten my day? We looked all over the place. No emerald. That's not possible. We definitely detected a higher concentration of chaos energy here. That's why the portal dropped us where it did. I reiterate, we didn't find anything. Maybe your calculations were off. Oh, that's rich. My calculations are never wrong, and now there's two of me. There's a 0 to the second power chance that we're wrong. That's still 0. The ground begins to shake and the Eggmobile lights up like a Christmas tree. What's going on? I can't be positive, but this feels pretty familiar. The time meter rips through the ceiling of the chemical plant, causing debris to fall to the floor. Robotnik attempts to zip over to Eggman to let him jump into the Eggmobile, but the collapsing ceiling gets to him first. After a moment, a flash of blue deposits Eggman in the second seat of the Eggmobile. Saved by your worst enemy, huh? I bet you'll be thinking about that for a while. Don't even start with me right now. You guys gotta get out of here and let us do our thing. Yeah, just take care of it so we can get out of here. The doctors fly off to safety just as a huge shadow eclipses the Sonics. They dart out of the way as a massive Motobug tank crashes down from above. This is your boss fight for Chemical Plant Zone, and I know what you're about to say. Oh, you just picked this because you're obsessed with the Motobug, and you're partially right, but it's also a reference to Sonic Chaos. I'm trying to add smaller boss fights to every level, that way it's sort of like classic Sonic games, 2 acts and then a boss fight. And I really didn't have any better ideas for this one in particular, and I figured referencing some stuff from games that weren't represented originally would be fun. The big bad bug is beaten, and once it explodes, a purple aura emanates from it. While the Sonics were fighting, they coincidentally managed to travel close to where the Tails, Orbot, and Cubot statues were, and once the purple energy reaches them, their color slowly fades back in and they fall to the ground. Sonic and Classic help Tails get to his feet, and Eggman jumps down to assist Orbot and Cubot, walking very quickly by his adversaries, not looking any of them in the eyes. Oh, it's so good to see you two. I don't know what I'd do if I lost either of you. I think we know what you'd do. You'd just build replacements, right? Eggman's mustache droops and he begins sweating. Even though I expected that would be the case, it didn't feel good to have it said directly to our faces. Yeah, I might need some time off to process my emotions. paid time off, of course.
So you heard all of that then. I was just going to leave us behind? Yeah, we know. You what? Sonic inches closer to Eggman. I saved your life not 5 minutes ago without even thinking about it, and you mean to tell me that you were just gonna let my best friend and these two rot here? I assure you I had no idea about this little plan of his. You better watch your mouth. It'll be your plan pretty soon. Unlikely, as it clearly doesn't seem to be going well for you. You're gonna have to catch me up on what's going on later. I suspect there's no time to waste since Eggman said something about saving the world. The fox reaches behind his back and produces a Chaos Emerald. The quartet gawks at the gem as Tails continues his monologue. We found this beauty while wandering through the chemical plant when we woke up. After we found it, there was this huge crash. Cubot screamed something in a language that might have been Russian.
I code switch when I'm scared.
And then the next thing I remember is seeing Dr. Eggman looking us over and talking about how he was going to abandon us. Sonic stares daggers at the doctor. Eggman is turned away from the group at this point. Huh, would you look at that? It's almost like pretending you didn't see these guys would have doomed the entire universe. What's that? 2 times now you've almost ruined everything? Every pair of eyes, digital or otherwise, are now trained on the doctor, who still hasn't said anything. Without a word, he primes the portal gun, fires, and a ring leading to Sky Sanctuary appears. He tosses the gun up to Robotnik, who scrambles to catch it, and he walks through.
Are we even allowed to be mad at him? Won't he just disassemble us if we speak out of line?
If you stick with us, we'll make sure that doesn't happen. Even if we're not on the same side, we still understand how you feel. Orbot and Cubot look at each other. Cubot tilts his head and scratches his chin. The group led by Sonic enter the portal and disappear in a flash. Just as before, though, the world they leave behind slowly loses its color and ceases all movement. And that's the end of this chapter. Even Robotnik is disappointed in Eggman. I know they say we're our own worst critics, but this is taking it to a whole new level. Well, if you liked this video and you haven't already, please make sure you subscribe, click the bell, follow my Twitter, and join the Discord to keep up with more Sonic rewrites and other things that aren't Sonic rewrites, because I do a lot of things. I'd also like to give a huge thank you to my current supporters, who are Mike TGC, Danny Drawber, Jack Knuckles Burridge, Cayman CJ, Silva PhD, Nono Men, Raiden Still Plays, Chaotic Mercenary, Cosmic Mushroom, Ty Little Tech Guy, Jaded Indolent, Jeremy, Lucas Tallman, Mega Trafficone, Crystal, Rob Morrison, and AJ Rat. Thank you all so much for supporting me, it really means a lot. If you have any interest in supporting me yourself, you can go ahead and click the join button beneath the video, and you'll get access to all sorts of exclusive things, such as membership videos, and posts, and other things. Just click the button and you can see what you get, it's pretty cool. Also the shoutouts, can't forget that. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.